around, you be looking at the check. That's the attitude. Got a little something that I gotta prove. From the bottom, we just doing what we gotta do. I put that crew on my shoulder, got a lot to lose. Yeah, going for that goalpost. Blowing through the red when the road closed. Y'all know, we ain't quitting when we so close.
Welcome back to the West Georgia Gridiron Podcast. I'm your host, Mason Taylor. And as always, I'm joined by my father, my co-host, my producer, Mark Taylor. And Dad, we're in the finals. We're in Game 15 as we are about to do our warm-up here. I can't believe that we're already here. And we're so blessed to have two teams from this area in Game 15.
Yeah, we're in the GHSA State Championship, the warm-up show. This is your preview to both games. This is a special edition. Basically, we're closing out the season. We will be back, though, right after the state finals for a wrap-up. So that'll be on Thursday. But what's ahead on this broadcast is the finals brackets and then Mason's matchups. Mason, we've got the GHSA Championship. We got the breakdown right here for Monday, for Tuesday, for Wednesday. What do you like about all these? I know we're going to cover Bowdon, we're going to cover Carrollton, but what about some of these other games?
First, you have Creekside, who 803 points, I think, is the exact amount, but nobody has scored more points in a single season than that team right there. So a very historic team, maybe one of the best teams you could argue if they win the state championship of all time. But they're taking on Benedictine, who second most points in a playoff game. They put it up on Central, 82 points, I believe. But also 5 state championships in the past, 10, 15 years, all under the same head coach that they have now, Coach Danny Britt. So that's going to be an interesting one. Definitely going to be one on the ground there. Then you have Toombs County, who obviously dominated Heard County in the semis. They're looking to repeat, but Worth County in the state championship game for the first time in 30-something years, looking to win their first in almost 40 years, and they're trying to go 15-0. Both teams have very good players on offense. Obviously, Toombs County, Justin Powell at the running back position. Worth County, maybe one of the best quarterbacks in the whole state, and Lyndon Worthy. So that's going to be an interesting battle. Hateville Charter, who scrimmaged against Carrollton earlier on in the season. They're such a scrappy team. They like to turn games ugly, but they're going to be taking on the back-to-backs, or a team that's trying to go back-to-back in Carver, Columbus, Hateville. I believe they started off the year 1-4, and now they're in the state championship. They have a record of 10-4, but Carver, I believe, is undefeated. Calvary Day, Hebron Christian. Calvary Day, the only time they've ever been in a state championship was back in the early 2010s. They did not win, but they got the win over Fellowship Christian. I don't think many people thought they were going to beat Fellowship Christian, but Fellowship Christian has a tendency to not perform well in the semifinals. But they're taking on Hebron Christian. Hebron Christian looking to go back-to-back, even though they have a new head coach this year. Jefferson, they're going to be taking on Sandy Creek in 3A. Jefferson obviously lost in the state championship last year to Calhoun. They're taking on Sandy Creek, who got upset by LaGrange in the second round last year, then got their revenge over LaGrange in the semifinals this past round. So Sandy Creek, with that really good running back, Amari Latimer, and Coach Darius Smiley, former Central Lions head coach, they're trying to win the state championship for the first time in a couple of years. And then you obviously got Thomas County Central, who won the state championship a few years ago. I believe it was 2 years ago, actually. And they're going to be taking on Gainesville, who first time they're in the state championship since losing to Langston Hughes about 3 years ago, trying to win only their second state championship ever. The only time they've done it was when they had Deshaun Watson as the quarterback. And I would say Kareem Hewley, the quarterback now for them, committed to Clemson as well. He looks very similar to Deshaun Watson, plays very similar to Deshaun Watson, and obviously a lot of controversy there in that last one, especially with the GHSA kind of versus Gainesville. A lot of people don't like Gainesville. They don't like the coach. They don't like the players. They don't like the transferring, whatever. But they are looking dangerous. We watched that Rome game, me and you. We had to just turn it off and turn on the Thomas County Central game because it just got so boring. Thomas County Central obviously had a close one with Roswell before finally pulling away in the second half. But all of these games are going to be sure not to disappoint. It's going to suck that Toombs County, Worth County is on at 2 o'clock, Calvary Day, Hebron Christian at 1 o'clock, because I won't really be able to get to watch those since I'll be in school. But all the other ones definitely going to be able to tune into. But I'm really worried about 3:30 on Monday and 8 o'clock on Tuesday. That's the two games I'm really excited about and really looking forward to watching.
I think you're right. None of these are going to disappoint. I don't look at any of these, Mason, and go, wow, that's just going to be a blowout, or hey, that probably is not going to be much, but it's going to be one-sided.
I think the one that would be closest to that would be 2A, Hapeville and Carver. Carver's just so good. They have a D1 6A level offensive line in terms of size. Hapeville, kind of the underdog, kind of a Cinderella team as well. Again, they've made a lot of games scrappy, and they've turned a lot of games ugly, and they just kind of came out scathing. But they don't go out without a fight, and I don't think they're going to go out without a fight in that one either. But I think if any of them is going to be a blowout, it would be that one.
Well, besides Bowdon and Carrollton games, I know this 4A Creekside versus Benedictine, that's going to be a strong one. And then you've got Toombs County, Worth County. Of course, that's going to be a strong win. I'm thinking a sleeper that we may see is maybe more exciting than we realize is going to be the Jefferson Sandy Creek.
I disagree. I think, and the reason I say that, Jefferson does not pass the ball well. They don't really do it either. They really just are a run-heavy team, and against a Sandy Creek defense that has loaded with D1 talent, it's going to be hard to run the ball against them. And when they force you, if they can force you into obvious passing situations, a team that doesn't even average 100 passing yards a game in total, it makes it very uncomfortable for them. And they have a really good secondary, Sandy Creek does, so having to pass against them is already difficult enough. It's very difficult when you're not really used to doing it. Jefferson, I think, is going to get on the board a little bit, but I think Sandy Creek, they're not going to be able to stop Amari Latimer, the running back. I think they're pretty much just going to do whatever they want, and defensively just kind of smother Jefferson, to be honest with you. So that's another one I think could turn pretty ugly in terms of because Jefferson's really one-dimensional offensively.
So are you thinking that the former Central coach is going to be able to get his championship with Sandy Creek?
Well, I think there's a bunch of teams on this list that you look at and you go, this is a championship for them to lose. Carrollton is one of them. I think Sandy Creek is one of them. Obviously, I think it's their state championship to lose. I think for a while it's been, okay, what's Sandy Creek going to do? Because last year they should have beaten LaGrange. I think a lot of people believed that. Obviously, they got their get back in the semis this year, and it wasn't close either. But I think that's for them to lose. I would say that Creekside, it's their state championship to lose, especially. I know Benedictine's a really good team, but the record-breaking, they haven't had a really close game pretty much all year long, no matter who they played. I think Carver, this is their state championship to lose. So I think this is, I would
definitely
say
Thomas County Central.
I disagree. I think that one's going to be really
toss up.
I think that, I don't know about a toss up, but I don't think it's necessarily Thomas County Central is the clear cut favorite, especially how Gainesville's defense has been performing since the playoffs have started. It's been really impressive. Okay. Hebron, Calvary Day, obviously Calvary Day has been playing pretty good recently. Toombs County, Worth, both of those teams are really good. And then Bowdon, Lincoln County, both those teams really good. But I think obviously Carrollton being one of the teams we cover, I definitely think Carrollton, it's their state championship to lose, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, it gets kicked off tomorrow with 3:30 with our Bowdon Red Devils. All right, Class A Division II. Let's get into that one then. Bowdon Red Devils taking on Lincoln County.
Yeah, thank goodness that this is at 3:30. If it was any earlier than that, I wouldn't be able to watch it because I would be in school. So thank God it's at 3:30.
Yes, you will.
Yeah, so thank the Lord it's at 3:30 because I will actually be able to watch it. I will have to be picking up my sister from school, but I'll make sure to be listening to it at least on the way home. But for the offensive keys to the game for Bowdon, I would say number one for them, gotta let Josh Hopkins dictate the game with his dual threat balance. He is the number two. He has the second most passing yards this season in Class 1A Division II. He has the ninth most rushing yards in Class 1A Division II this season. So the Bowdon offense is at its best when he is running and passing the ball efficiently, and it forces defenses to defend both dimensions. He averages 160 passing yards a game, 82 rushing yards a game. And obviously when you're top 10 in both passing and rushing, and then you also have Connor Daniel who can come in and he's a top 50. He's top 50 for passing yards this season in Class 1A Division II. He's also top 50 for rushing yards in Class 1A Division II. Makes Bowdon really scary in that when you look at it that way. But Lincoln County, they give up very few points. Bowdon needs Hopkins' versatility to prevent Lincoln from really loading up against the run and shrinking the field. And again, Josh Hopkins, he's, what a season he's had. Most of these quarterbacks for Bowdon have kind of been one-season wonders because they come in as seniors, they win a state championship and move on. But Josh Hopkins, he's such a good kid. He's such a good player as well. And he only needs 5 yards to break to be the number 1 passing yards leader this season in Class 1A Division II. So he's most likely going to end the season as the leading passer in Class 1A Division II, while also still being a top 10 rusher. So again, what a weapon that Bowdon has offensively. And again, when you have a Lincoln County team who I'm not sure about what the actual numbers are, but I don't even think they average giving up 10 points a game this season. That's it's going to be really key for them to be able to have a guy like him with other guys like Prothro and Berkeley Perkins, Mike Patterson, Josh Chandler, etc. It's going to be really key for them to have a guy like him at the helm who can take on a really good defense in Lincoln County. Defensively for Bowdon, they're going to have to win early downs by limiting Lincoln County's powerful run game. Now, Lincoln County leans almost entirely on the ground, so Bowdon's got to prevent 4 to 6 yards, 4 to 6 yard runs on first down. And I don't know how many people really watch or know anything about Lincoln County, but if you know about historic Lincoln County, the Lincoln County of the 70s, of the 80s, of the 90s, of the 2000s, you know that their identity is running the ball. It has really never changed. It's been running the ball pretty much since the beginning of time, it seems like. But they average 274 rushing yards a game as a team. They only average 36 passing yards a game as a team. So Bowdon can push Lincoln into 3rd and long, where Lincoln is really least comfortable. They can slow a methodical offense that rarely beats itself. And again, if you can force them into obvious passing situations, it's just like I was talking about with Jefferson, makes Lincoln County extremely uncomfortable. They're not a passing team, but it is a lot easier said than done having to stop the run, especially when they're using multiple guys to do it. They're not just like running inside zone with the same guy every time. They're using multiple guys in the option, it's confusing who, and the quarterback's, I believe he's only about 5'8", 5'9". He's more of an athlete than anything. He's not really a true pocket passer by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, he's an athlete. So it's going to be really tough for Bowdon. I mean, we looked at Brooks County. Brooks County gave up 50-something points to this Lincoln County team, only scored 16. It's really hard to stop the run. But again, I think one of Bowdon's best strengths this season has been against the run. And so against a team that runs the ball well, it's going to be interesting to see how that does. But for Lincoln County, number 1 offensively, got to control the clock with that punishing run game. I mean, their identity, again, is built on physicality and ball control, 274 rushing yards a game. Sustaining long drives limits Bowdon's high-powered offense, and it keeps Hopkins off the field. That offense at Bowdon averages just under 42 points a game. So again, if you can control the time of possession, you can control the offense, and you can really just chew the clock while still getting on the board, it leaves that team of Bowdon that only scores around 42 points a game. They're not going to be able to do that if you're controlling the time of possession while also making them have to play catch up or consistently getting on the board. Defensively, and again, a slow grinding tempo is Lincoln's clearest advantage here. But defensively, they got to contain Hopkins, and they also have to prevent explosive pass plays to Prothro. And Bowdon's best mismatch is the Hopkins-Prothro connection. Prothro averaging 80 receiving yards per game. I just saw the statistic, 54 receptions, I believe. It was 1,044 yards, but he also had 26 touchdowns. That means almost about 48% of his receptions are going for touchdowns. That's a crazy stat. And when I looked at it, Bowdon has 4 receivers in the top 50 for receiving yards this season in Class 1A Division II. They have Caden Prothro, he has the most receiving yards out of anybody in the class. You also have Berkeley Perkins in there, Micah Patterson, and I believe it's Berkeley Perkins. But when you have 3 other guys that got to worry about, but Prothro is the best one, so you obviously got to prevent explosive pass plays to him. And when you can do that, I mean, Lincoln County's defense is elite. They've only allowed 95 points in 14 games, but their key is having to prevent Bowdon from hitting chunk plays that swing momentum. I mean, Prothro is not really he's not like a Peyton Zachary where he's just going to have 70, 80 receptions a year. This guy is going to have again like 50 receptions, but but he's going to score on a lot of them. And he's going to go deep a lot of the time as well. And he's such a big guy. He's 6'6", 210. He's a red zone nightmare. He's a matchup nightmare, especially when most defensive backs in 1A in total are, anywhere from 5'9" to maybe about 6 foot. So again, they got to prevent Bowdon from hitting chunk plays. Hopkins is very dangerous, and they got to keep him in the pocket. They got to limit scramble drill chaos, and they also have to force methodical drives for Bowdon. And I think that's the key for Lincoln County to win here. But this is all going to be about how does Bowdon do against the run. That's really, I think, where the key is. With that being said, I don't believe Bowdon's the favorite coming into this game. From what I've seen, a lot of people think that Lincoln County is going to come in there, and I don't think they're thinking it's going to be a blowout. But a lot of people think that Lincoln County is going to go in there and win from anywhere from 14 points to 2 points, 1 point. I'm not picked against a champion all season long. In the state championship, Bowdon in the past 3 years is 3 for 3. I'm not picking against Bowdon here. I don't care if they're not the favorite by a mile. I don't care if they're the favorite by 1. I'm not picking against the champion. To be the champion, you got to beat the champion. And until someone can prove to me that they can beat those Bowdon Red Devils led by Coach Finley, I'm not going to pick against them. So give me Bowdon 35-21. I think that after that Clinch County performance down there in Homerville, that actually surprised me a lot.
On the road.
So on the road as well. So I think that that really was pretty eye-opening to me, at least. And I know that Clinch is not Lincoln County, but I think Bowdon's going to go in there and shock a few people. Give me them 35-21 by 14 points.
Wow. All right, well, we're going to take a quick break for our Community Spotlight. We'll be right back with the Carrollton Trojans. Hey, guys, we want to tell you about our new friends at Buffalo Wild Wings here in Carrollton, Georgia, US 27 South, the host of our recent state playoff kickoff show and Team Spirit Night. Stop in soon to your B-Dubs for Wing Tuesdays, Boneless Thursdays. Make sure that you download their app for more rewards and savings. If you're in the area, there's 3 convenient locations in Noonan, Douglasville, Hiram. So make sure you tell them that the guys at West Georgia Gridiron Podcast sent you. It is your community hangout for great food and great sports. Hey everybody, I want to tell you about our friends at Buzzard's Coffee here in Carrollton, Georgia. They're located on Bradley Street. They're open 7 days a week, and their owners, Bryce and Shay, are an amazing couple with the best staff in town. They're coffee lovers with a big heart for this Carrollton community, and it shows. They're committed also to continuing what that shop does best, and that is to serve high-quality specialty coffee made with love, plus the best ingredients that they can put their hands on, and making Buzzards a place that feels like home every time that you enter. And you can tell them that the guys at West Georgia Gridiron Podcast sent you. They'll make sure you get the best brew in town. Right back with the Class 6A State Championship game featuring the Carrollton Trojans taking on the Buford Wolves Tuesday, December 16th.
Yeah, look at that picture back there. Don't you love that picture from last year? And Carrollton is going to be in their white uniforms. We haven't seen them. We haven't seen them in their white uniforms in a while because Carrollton has not been on the road since the Westlake game, which, if you can believe that, back in October was the last time they were on the road. So we're going to end the season with them being in their white jerseys. We haven't seen them in the state finals in white jerseys since 2013 either. So kind of a random fact there. Buford, they're in the finals for the first time since winning the state championship 4 years ago. Who did they beat in the semifinals to win that state championship? They beat the Carrollton Trojans in Coach King's first season there. This is the 22nd finals appearance all time for the Buford Wolves. They're looking for their first championship again in 4 years. They're looking for their 15th state championship in school history. On the other side, you have our Carrollton Trojans, who are in the finals for the second consecutive year. This is their 16th finals appearance all time. They're looking for their first championship in 27 years, and they're looking for their 8th championship in school history. And obviously, standing in their way, the Buford Wolves, standing in the Buford Wolves' way, the Carrollton Trojans. You could argue that whatever team wins this, it will be the national champions because multiple sites have both of these teams at number 1 in the nation. I don't really like to get into any of that, and so I won't. That's about where I'm going to leave it at. Oof, this one's heavyweight. This is a heavyweight, right? Ali versus Frazier is what a lot of people have been comparing this to. I mean, this is as good as it gets right here. And we thought Carrollton Grayson was going to be good. I think this is going to be right up there with them. Buford, I'm going to start off with them. Offensively for them, they're going to have to use a balanced ball control attack to keep Carrollton's offense off the field. And obviously, Buford averages just under, about 196 rushing yards a game, 164 passing yards a game. So they're scoring, and their scoring also steadily ramps up after halftime. You look at the Newton game, it was close. Second half blew them out. Douglas County was close at the half, blew them out in the second half. Valdosta, close all the way until the fourth quarter, I believe. So they are a second half team. They don't really come out the gate too hot, which is something that Carrollton does do well. Carrollton usually comes out in the first half and puts up most of their points. Second half, they don't tend to put up more points than they do in the first. But sustaining long drives here offensively for their running back, Dylan McCoy, who's committed to NC State on the ground. Efficient passing from Dayton Raiola. That really slows the game down, and it limits Carrollton's explosive high-volume offense, which averages 417 yards a game. And again, this is something that we've seen teams all season long do, right? I mean, we saw all the way from Columbia. I think that's really the first team that you saw kind of take this approach against Carrollton, was to keep their offense off the field. It doesn't matter if you're scoring, and obviously Buford's going to want to score points. I'm not saying that, but most teams this year, they just want to limit how many points Carrollton is scoring. They know they're not going to win, but they just want to keep their offense on the field as long as possible to kind of limit the scoring. Obviously, Buford here is different because they're going to want to score more points than Carrollton does, while also keeping Carrollton's offense off the field and dominating the time of possession. And I'm not sure what the numbers were last year. I know in the first half it was pretty even time of possession for both of these teams, but it felt like, I mean, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it felt like with those three running backs, Buford really liked to eat up the time of possession. I mean, they really love to just waste the clock, and especially in, I think, the second half is where we really started to try to see them doing that, especially in the third quarter. Obviously, they don't have those three running backs anymore. Only one of those three, which is Dylan McCoy. The other two are off in college now. But that's something they're going to need to try and do again here today, or on Tuesday, is dominate the time of possession while still putting up points and really keeping Carrollton's explosive offense off of the field. Defensively, they have to limit Cam Wood on early downs. They got to force the quarterbacks to win the game. Carrollton's most dangerous when running back Cam Wood sets up manageable downs. He averages 105 rushing yards a game. So if Buford wins at the line, if they force second and long or third and long, they can really stress the freshman quarterback CJ Cipher and the senior quarterback Mason Holtzclaw, and they can prevent the Trojans from leaning on their rhythm passing game. And now, I think obviously here, Cam Wood, I would say, I mean, he's up for, I think, Mr. Georgia Player of the Year, which congratulations being considered for that honor. But something that I think we saw North Gwinnett do, and again, he still did fantastic against North Gwinnett, didn't have really any break-off runs, though, like he did against Grayson, right? So I think, obviously, Buford has a really good defense. I think they have a better defense than Carrollton. But the best part of that Buford defense is their front seven. They have a huge defensive line. Their linebackers are always great. We saw it last year. I'm sure we're going to see it again this year. So obviously, if you can stop Cam Wood from really just doing what he normally does, which is already a tall task anyway, the key to the game here, you're going to have to make Cipher or Holtzclaw or both of them, you're going to have to force one of them to have to win the game here for Carrollton. The only time we've seen that all season long was against Rome. What did we see in Rome? Well, it was Rome had the lead 3/4 of the game, and it forced Carrollton to stick with CJ Cipher in the fourth quarter to have to pull them out of the depths and win the game. Obviously, we haven't seen that other than that game because there's not been any close games really like that for the rest of the season. And even when it's been close, like in the Gainesville game, like in the Grayson game, we haven't really seen Coach King say, we're going to stick with this one quarterback. We're going to stick with both of them. But if you just force those quarterbacks to have to win the game, yes, the best part, one of the best parts of that offense, maybe the best part, is their passing. And maybe one of the weaker parts is Buford's secondary, but you just can't have Cam Wood doing whatever he wants if you want to win this game. If you're Buford, you just can't. You have to force those quarterbacks to win the game. Offensively for Carrollton, attack through the air to stress Buford's secondary. Now Carrollton's biggest advantage is its passing game. 255 passing yards a game is what they average. 76 of those per game go to Peyton Zachary. And spreading the field can really challenge a Buford defense that allows more success through the air than on the ground. Again, they have a better front seven than they do a secondary. But passing early opens running lanes for Cam Wood later as well. So, and again, Grayson, we saw this. They did the screens. They did the jet sweeps. And Coach King says he did it to try to wear them out. Whatever. I don't know if that's true or not. But you're not gonna be able to do it against Buford either. I don't think. I think you'd be maybe a little bit easier to do it against them because I don't think they're as fast defensively as Grayson was. But when did we see Carrollton kind of start getting a little bit of a rhythm? It wasn't with Cam Wood. It was actually when they started passing the ball better down the field, medium to going vertical. And obviously Cam Wood had that breakout run, but we started passing the ball better before we started running the ball better, right? It made them have to respect the passing game, which then when we started running it right down their throats, they didn't have an answer or it was unexpected, right? And so obviously, they're going to have to be able to attack. And again, the weakest part of Buford's defense, in my opinion, they're secondary. So you're going to have to be able to pass the ball here. They have so many weapons: Ryan Mosley, Peyton Zachary, Key Miller, Rontre Welch, you name them. So it's not like they don't have guys to be able to throw to.
Well, and Cam coming out of the backfield.
You're right. And we've seen multiple times. Yeah, we've seen multiple times on wheel routes him be a very successful attribute there and check downs and whatever. But you're going to have to be able to do that. And again, to get Buford's defense to have to respect the pass so you can open up the running later as well. Defensively for them, going to have to disrupt Dayton Raiola and force Buford into predictable run-heavy situations. This one would be the one I would asterisk. If I want you to take one thing away from this, this is the one I want you to take away. This is exactly what Carrollton did last year that was, in my opinion, so successful last year in beating Buford. Caden Spratling, this is where you kind of saw his name start to get out there. If you never knew who he was, this is kind of the game. I think Matt Stewart pointed it out earlier in the season. This is the game that kind of put him on the map. Buford is strongest when they stay balanced. If Carrollton's front can contain McCoy, they can pressure Raiola, the Wolves' offense becomes one-dimensional, right? It forces third and medium, or if you can force third and medium or third and long, it plays into the strength of Carrollton's linebacker, and it gives the Trojans the leverage to control the matchup. And again, this is something, I think we did so well last year was get in the backfield and really attack Dayton Raiola, right? Forced a fumble on him. Caden Spratling was back there all night long. Zion Cooley, Zakai Helton, those type of guys were in that backfield all night, or especially in the second half where we kind of won the game against Buford. And really, I've never really been too impressed with Dayton Raiola, really. I mean, I don't know about you, but he's not really all that. I feel like he's kind of overrated. So if you can really get him off of his spot, make him real uncomfortable, it helps out, because also it makes him start having to run the ball. And if you remember the Grayson game this year, if you remember the Buford game last year, what did we do successfully is stop the run. I mean, 2.5 yards per carry against Grayson this year as a total. Against Buford in the second half, they couldn't really get anything going either. So again, I think that's exactly what you want to do. You want to make them not be able to really pass the ball and make them have to start running the ball. And then guess what? That's what Carrollton does best, is stop the run, in my opinion. So that's exactly what Carrollton's going to need to do. Again, if I want you to take anything away from what I'm saying right now, this is the one. Asterisk it, and we'll see what happens. And I guarantee you, if Carrollton does this, they're going to win the game. I mean, it's going to be too easy for Carrollton if they go out there and execute that to win the game. Now, both of these teams, I'm not going to give a prediction per se, but I will say this. I mean, I already told y'all earlier, I think this is Carrollton State Championship to lose at this point. I think it was the same discussion last year as well. This is Carrollton State Championship to lose. They have all the pieces in place. Obviously, hopefully nobody gets injured in the state championship like last year, but this is it, right? I mean, it doesn't get much easier. It doesn't get much better than this, right? So it's their state championship to lose. I do think that Buford has a better defense, but Carrollton has a better offense here. I don't think that's questionable at all. So it's going to be Carrollton's offense versus Buford's defense. I think that's going to be the matchup to watch here. But I think Buford has a better defense. I do think that Carrollton is a better team as a total. I think even though Buford has all these 3 stars, all these 4 stars, all these whatever, it's just like the Grayson game, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if you have 20 bajillion 4 stars, 20 bajillion 3 stars. Carrollton is so well coached. They have so many guys who, in my opinion, fly under the radar mainly because of size. I mean, you look at Jameer Harris; he's only 5'9". 195, I think, is what he's listed at. He's one of the leading tacklers on the team. because he's not 6'2" and 240 pounds, he's not really going D1, is he? Because he's not getting offers, he's not getting looks because of his size. And Carrollton has always been that way. It seems like there's guys on the team that are so good, but because of their size, don't typically get recruited like the Buford guys do. And that's fine. I mean, Carrollton likes being the underdog. I just saw ITG Next, Georgia, the guy that picks all the games for them. They call it Phil's Picks. I guess that's his name is Phil. Most of the time, just about every time he picks Carrollton to lose. Look, I don't think anybody wants Carrollton to win this game except for Carrollton people. I don't think anybody thinks that Carrollton's going to win this game. I mean, there's so many people that are going against the grain here and saying, we don't want Carrollton to win. We don't think Carrollton's going to win. And what I would say to Carrollton would just be embrace that. Embrace the we're the underdogs. Embrace, because Buford, I mean, they've won, I think, 10 championships since 2000. I mean, it's been Buford for the last 20-something years. It's about time Carrollton takes their place and starts to change the norms here. I don't care if we're favored. I don't care if, I don't care if national championship implications are on the line. Carrollton, I think this year, I've heard Ryan Mosley in the hallway talking to teachers about the game. And I've heard, Cam talking to the running backs coach about the game in the hallways as well. I think this team is just so confident. They're so confident. They're ready to go to war for each other, for the city, for the school. And they know what it's like to not finish the job last year. And I think that's what's driving them this year. And again, all season long, they've, I guess you could say, flown under the radar. It wasn't really till the Douglas County game where you started seeing them get more and more recognition for what they've done. But I don't think they care. I don't think they care if they're on TV, if they're not on TV. I don't think they care if they have to play at Buford, at Grayson, at Carrollton, in Atlanta. They just want to get the job done. They want to come home with a ring. Again, this is their state championship to lose, and Carrollton has all the pieces in place. I would love nothing more than to see both Carrollton and Bowdon come home with a state championship. But that's what Carrollton's going to have to do to win this game. It's pretty much going to be, in my opinion, a similar game as last year defensively for Carrollton. But offensively, it's going to be interesting to see how that Carrollton offense can do. But Holtzclaw and Cypher are going to need really big games in this one, and Cam Wood as well.
Well, if it comes down to special teams, I've got all the confidence in Mr. Vargas and Welch and others that can get that done. And I saw Zakai Helton at church this morning and was able to just talk with them a bit afterwards of the services and just tell them that you and I will be praying for them for Tuesday, for all those boys. But obviously a different game going in. He'll actually be healthy going into this one and be able to play. And man, what a difference maker he is. So
he was a big part in winning that game at the end there last year against Buford, if you remember.
That's right. Well, with that said, that's been Mason's matchups. I hope you enjoyed this season so far. Again, we're going to be coming back on Thursday to finish it all up as a recap of those two games, no matter how it goes. And we wish you all the best. And so just follow us and share us on social media, all those social media pages where you follow high school sports and football, and listen to us as far as this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and then watch us on our YouTube channel, West Georgia Gridiron Podcast. Well, everybody, go and enjoy the games, and we'll see you